I wept today, and I say it because I don't do that often. It was a post that was shared by a good sister. She was filming homeless people in, I think, Jersey maybe. And I saw a young Black American man. The tears were triggered because I saw bandages on his feet. I thought about all of the patients that get chopped on, just like a chop shop. I've been a nurse for over 30 years, and I've seen things that deeply concerned me. And whenever I would bring it up, I would get gaslit. That would be my entire nursing career, just gaslighting. So she posted video, like I said, of a rather young man, and he had bandages on his feet. To me, looked like he had amputated toes. Very common due to diabetes. Now, seeing him with the bandages laying on the ground made me think of a young man, a patient I had in Savannah, Georgia. And he told me that a doctor had been trying to convince him to have one of his feet partially amputated due to a slow healing wound. Now, this is a man in his probably late 20s to early 30s. The wound on the bottom of his foot was a wound that could be healed if cared for properly. Now, the problem with him was he was homeless. So caring for this wound was difficult. But this physician was pressuring him to have his foot partially amputated. And he asked me what he should do. Well, I leaned in and I told him, do not let them chop on you. Do not do it. And he said, thank you, I won't. And that's what brought on the tears for me, because this was common. I can recall another young Black man in Savannah. So I don't know what's up with Savannah, something to look into. But this is every hospital, all right? But this man in Savannah, again, young, maybe 30s, he had a partial arm amputation. Yes, I said arm amputation. I think it was to his elbow. His arm was amputated. I was the kind of nurse that whenever I observed things like this, I wanted to confront the physicians that were doing this and really ask them, was this really necessary? Yeah, I have that kind of audacity. That's why I'm not a nurse anymore. I was forced to retire. By the way, I'm going to leave my Cash App for anybody who wants to tip me. If you want to bless me as I purchase education for myself to continue to understand what has happened to purchase books. I'm going to leave my Cash App for you. It's raining again, which is interesting. So I'll pick up, I'm going to go inside so the phone doesn't short out, okay? Okay, let me try to make this a continuous thought somewhat. It's a lot of thoughts and fragments that have contributed to how I'm feeling. Now, let's go to COVID, that period of the pandemic. I was in Savannah before going to New York City, and it was strange. I'll tell you, I'm still processing a lot of that. It felt very lonely because I was questioning everything, and not many people, well, nobody that I can think of wanted to have these conversations. So I would go and get Uber Eats sometimes, working night shift. And because I wasn't wearing a mask, I was shunned. So I used to get food with the other nurses, but if you know nurses, they're kind of a mean girl sorority. So when I wasn't going along with the narrative and doing the masking, I wasn't invited to get Uber Eats anymore. So I was getting it on my own, okay? And I went down to pick up my order. I'd go through the ER, which was empty. Did you hear that? Empty ER. And I was going out, and a young black man was coming in, young. And I found it odd that he was entering the hospital at that time, because this is a period when everything was really unknown. It was early in the COVID shenanigans. And I found it odd. He looked healthy, full bodied, healthy person, dressed well. I found it strange that he was headed to the empty ER. So I got nosy and I asked, "How you doing?" With just greeting. And he told me that he just shared that he was headed to the ER. I said, "Oh, so you're not feeling well? What's going on? Are you?" He just expressed having a stomach ache, basically. It was just like indigestion, something that wasn't serious. And I know people could say, well, you don't know how serious it was. Trust me, it wasn't. From the questions I have been trained to ask people. And my response to this young man was, don't you know any home remedies? Don't you have aunts, grandmother, somebody that knows how to take care of simple ailments? And he looked me in the eyes, and it was like he came out of a trance. And I was basically telling him that we are in the middle of basically a medical anomaly, emergency, whatever you want to call it, a pandemic worldwide. Why would you decide to come to the hospital for minor ailment, to the ER, mind you, which a lot of our people, unfortunately, use the ER as their primary physician? That's another conversation. But I told him that it wasn't a good idea, you know? Why don't you go home and take care of yourself at home? And let me tell you, I don't know what would have happened to him if he had gone through those doors and agreed to be a guinea pig at that time. But I know I saw odd things when I got to New York. by that time. I headed up to New York shortly after working the early part of the pandemic in Savannah. And I recall another young black man who was on a regular, med surge floor. He was okay. He had come in with the whatever COVID symptoms. Mind you, no one died at home, remember? Or should I say unalived? I'm not good with editing myself. I've already gotten in trouble on TikTok for sharing the invasion of Spain. So they gave me a community strike violation. I don't know what that'll mean for my whatever account. But when I was up in New York, I remember another young man that, like I said, he was there for flu. He seemed to be turning a corner and getting better. So, we work the 12-hour shift, so you have days off. You could get them close together, your days off. So I was off or whatever, and when I got back, I was told that he died. I'm thinking, wait a minute, what? You just talk to other nurses, you come back, well, how's room so and so? How's room so and so? You figure you're going to hear something like, oh, he got better, he went home, he was discharged. No, I hear he was transferred to ICU and he died. And this is a man who had young children, a wife, and I'll never forget that. It was so bizarre. I knew that it didn't make sense. None of it made sense. But I was the one that, like, I was asking the questions. Not that I'm so great, but it should have been more common to at least have some camaraderie with someone. But it was just fear. Everybody was complying with mandates, not asking questions, not pushing back. And that's the thing, if you're the only one pushing back on the system, you're of course going to be the one that they try to, knock down the one, as they say in other cultures, like you're the one that's up, they're going to hammer you down. And that happened, of course, I was challenged and my rights were violated. I have justice claims like many of you have for how we were treated. And I just, when I think about the healthcare system, the medical industrial complex, I shared in another video that my maternal grandmother was vaccine injured, in which she suffered from polio, and it changed the whole trajectory of my family. She was tested and treated as a experimental patient at University of Pennsylvania. And my family didn't take a justice claim against them because that's what a lot of people, they feel that they don't, I don't know, maybe they don't have the confidence to do it. They feel like a David against Goliath. And that's been a problem. There's a lot of justice claims. And there was another thought that I had. I could talk about this a lot. It's heavy stuff. I used to follow a lot of pro-life people, and I fought on the front lines of the abortion debate and learning how abortion targeted my people. Margaret Sanger considering us the weeds in the garden to be removed, and she went around, you know about this, of course. She went around to black pastors because she knew that we listened to our pastors, very religious people, and the church being a very important institution. So she knew to target the pastors. And I recall maybe it was Lila Rose or one of the influencers in the pro life movement shared a video, which I'm going to look for a clip of that video. If you've seen it, let me know in the comments. But it was an Indian doctor from India. I'm pretty sure he was from India. He could have been from, I think it was India. Let's just say that. Somebody went to his house, like one of those gotcha kind of journalism moments, and they wanted to talk to him because he was like one of the most prolific abortionists in the area that they lived. So they wanted to confront dude, went to his home and had the camera. He answered the door and they wanted to know why he was involved in the slaughtering of the innocents. His answer chilled my blood. His answer was so cold. He said, "Aren't you happy that I am getting rid of all the nigga babies?" Or he probably did the hard ER, all the nigger babies. Aren't you happy? Now he was telling this to a white person or a couple of white people who had come to his door. Shout out to you all for doing such. It was a courageous act, but he wanted to appeal to them by saying, "You should be happy. I am getting rid of these nigger babies." As if he understood the assignment. And this assignment is very dark. It goes back to the Tuskegee experiments. And you remember seeing the black nurse that went out with the doctors to inject syphilis into the bodies of foundational Black American men, funded by Rosenwald, right? Wasn't that Rosenwald of the Sears and Roebuck company who funded the Tuskegee syphilis experiments? You know, those experiments didn't stop until the 1970s. And I also saw today somebody filming a man, foundational Black American man. He was in the music industry, I guess maybe with Parliament Funkadelic, maybe. I didn't know his name, but I think they said he was the drummer who has since passed away. But they were talking to him, and I guess it was their uncle. And when I looked at the picture, I saw the beds that they were in. It was like he had a roommate, another older Black man, and it dawned on me that he was in a assisted living, or like we used to call them the old folks home, nursing home, convalescent home. And it just again tugged on my heart to see these two Black men laying in beds, um and It's just a lot of connections. I think about how the movement to divide FBA man and FBA woman, this gender divide came from a foreign source, okay? I don't have to detail it right now, but if you've been paying attention, you know what I'm talking about. Who infused a lot of division among us, this whole gender war. And I recall a lot of women saying that more Black men die alone in nursing homes. And they were kind of mocking this. And it is true, by the way. I have seen a lot of foundational Black American men dying alone in hospitals and nobody coming to visit them. And I'm not saying they were angels, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they were perfect, but I think that's beside the point. The fact that it's so prevalent is the point. Why? And why would that be something that would bring glee to the heart of any foundational Black American woman? If that's the case, I see our delineation and our declaring who we are. There is a reuniting happening, a healing of this gender war that was fomented from a foreign source again. I just wanted to share that as I think of more things. I do want to have some live streams and connect with more people on these type of subjects because again, we have a lot of justice claims and a lot of us are processing what exactly just happened. You know, waking up to this crime. And I want to issue a warning to any healthcare professional, especially foreign. If you are in hospitals, abortion mills, wherever, nursing homes, and you are harming foundational Black Americans, just know we are in a different day. This is a warning. You are in danger from the Most High Yah. It's a warning that you better stop now. That's all.